Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is I, Colton Robertson, and you have returned for the 5th edition of the Sarlacc Soundwave. I am joined today by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. I'm also joined by Tillman McClunie. What's up, homie?
It's always great to be back on the podcast. Happy to be here. Add diversity once again.
Oh, of course. I'm glad to have you back. And we are also joined by Miles motherfucking Buttress. What's up, homie?
I'm happy to be back every single week, ready to talk about, some Mandalorian.
Yeah, let's talk about the Mandalorian, huh? So this is a good episode. It's a good episode. One might say it's in the wrong show.
Wrong show, but a fantastic episode regardless.
Necessary, though.
Necessary. And I'm excited to get there. I'm very excited to get there. But
this almost seems like an episode like had they been allowed to like run both of these series at the same time, or like in like offsetting offsetted barely, that they would like show this episode, then would have a corresponding episode in the Book of Boba Fett. But because they're not doing it that way,
I like this. Because we've seen just how bad that can go on Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, all that.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying they do that. I'm saying, like, if it was done that way, this seems like that type of episode. But
I know, but
it's not, they had to be,
address one of the biggest gripes with this episode to the general public, that Boba Fett isn't in this episode, which I also have that gripe. Not entirely a fan of the fact that he didn't even show up.
But it's a very necessary episode, because if he just showed up and was like, "Hey, I'm here," you'd be like, "What have you been doing, dude? Like, what, you know?"
Right.
Okay.
And here's another thing. Like, 7 episodes seemed like a weird number.
Makes more sense now.
It's not sexy. It's because there's a 6-episode arc dedicated to Boba and 1 episode inserted to fill you in on what Din's been up to. Because, let's face it, there's been 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and he is the focal point of this era of Star Wars. So if we pick up season 3 of Mando and we don't have this, the amount of catch up we're doing at the beginning of the season of The Mandalorian is immense.
Yes. That's why this episode's perfect, because even if you go without watching the Book of Boba and you just pick up with wherever they pick up in The Mandalorian, you'll just be like, oh, he has a new ship, and I guess he lost relations with, his old crew. That's like the only 2 things that really have happened, and that he's with Boba. Like, you just kind of assume these things anyways, like going just from, like, if we were to go into season 3, watching that first episode, we'd be like, I mean, yeah, he still has his Darksaber. And then if he had a new ship, we'd probably be like, well, I guess we'd like to see how he got it, but I guess we're cool with him having a ship. So, like, even all these things that happened, like, they're not really crazy big events that needed to happen in The Mandalorian specifically. And, like, I'm not really upset that Boba didn't show up, because, like, this, I think it's just, like, the scope of what Boba is involved in. And it's like his whole crime family and the rise of it. And, that also includes Din. He's probably going to be a large part of helping Boba out. And maybe Mandalore gets involved later, but that's a whole complicated mess. But, like, I don't know. I thought this was a nice, like, change of pace. I mean, I don't know. I think they knew everyone would love this episode anyways. Just because everyone loves Din, but
No, yeah, and that's the thing. Tillman pointed out to me via the group chat that we might have overhyped this episode coming off of it, and I respect that take, I really do. And it did cause me to go watch the episode again with a different lens, kind of like, okay, let me bring myself down. Is it just because it's The Mandalorian? And I will say, in part, yes. But the thing is that's not a bad thing. Like, it's not like necessarily a negative, like, it's like, it just made me realize how important the Mandalorian as a character, Din Djarin himself, is important to me. Just because, like, when I look back on the Mandalorian, I worry, like, do I like the Mandalorian because of the story they're telling, or because of all the other things around him? Do I like it because of Grogu and because Luke Skywalker showed up and all of this and all of that? But here, we get an episode of Din, unhindered by anyone else around him, and I fucking loved it. And it just let me know that, like, my love for the Mandalorian is genuine, not just a result of how good the show is.
I think this episode is enhanced if you've watched Clone Wars as well. Just having, like, that Darksaber background knowledge, it, like, just makes this episode so much
and
cooler.
Rebels.
I guess
Clone Wars and mostly Rebels.
Yeah, the Sabine Wren, like, and the way that this era of Star Wars is looking, it's looking like Boba Fett, Din Djarin, a couple Mandalorians in these two primary shows, and then Ahsoka is going to have Sabine Wren right along for the ride. And now I think we're looking at three characters who kind of define or are becoming the definition of what the Mandalorian should be and what could be, and kind of what Satine had envisioned for the whole shit. Still warriors, but with a heart to them. And it's like, I could definitely see them being the future of the Mandalorian people, which is very interesting. And, and like I went into this episode going, like, we talked about this at length, Din doesn't want to be the ruler of Mandalore. It's like, he's going to do everything he can to get rid of that saber. This episode, he's claiming that. That is
kind of seems like, he wants to be the one to rule Mandalore.
He has some reasons too, as well. Like, he was banished from his crew and, like, over literally just taking his helmet off, and, like, he will see that and he will be like, that shouldn't be enough to break the bond that we've built. Like, this whole time. He
literally says it, like, lines before she asks him that, like, minutes before, he asks if he can go visit Grogu. And she's like, Jedi forbid attachment. And he goes, that's the opposite of our creed. We are about loyalty and solidarity. And then minutes later, she literally turns her back on him.
Yeah. Tells him to go fuck himself because he took his helmet off.
Oh, I wasn't of the hand that Den would want to lead or be the one behind and wielding the Darksaber, but I'm in the camp now.
I know. 100% in the camp. And you know what? I know exactly why it's such a big 360 or 180 from what we thought it was going to be. They listened to the podcast and changed the story.
God damn it!
They were like, they got it too right. We got to fix this.
But you guys must understand how the law works. Yes, she turned her back on him, but that is also part of the creed. You do not take your helmet off. We do not agree with it.
It's the same thing as the Jedi creed that they had. Of yes, it's the creed. It's a stupid fucking creed.
It's extreme.
It's extremist and stupid.
It's a cult.
And it's gonna fall for the same reason that the Jedi fell, because they, the hard line stance to refuse the allowing attachments, and that's what I think what Din here is gonna try and get rid of is the getting rid of the requirement of you're never allowed to take your helmet off, because it's extreme and it's not necessary.
But, like, what about sleeping? Real quick, can we just address
you're allowed to in private.
He was in private of a droid. That's the part that I was like, say it was a freaking droid.
No, that wasn't the one he was talking about.
No, he was saying Grogu and Luke.
He was at the end of season 2, he takes his helmet off in front of. It's in front of, like, Luke, Grogu,
and the second to last episode of The Mandalorian in season 2.
Pretty much only Grogu and Luke get a good look at Mando's face. Like, everyone else is kind of looking from behind, and they see the side of his face, but, like, everyone saw it in the room. Yeah. They were all like, "Oh my god, that's his fucking face." So, like, they were obviously looking, and, like,
See, I think it's just a really, really good episode, and I don't think there's a better example of, like, a religious zealot and an extremist and kind of a brainwashing tactic that is more exemplified than when the armorer tells him about the story of the Night of 1,000 Tears and ends it with, only the people who followed the creed made it off of the planet. That's it. The people who did this survived.
Like, they showed that entire capital be blown up and destroyed completely. Yeah. And, like, I hope that's a lie. Like, I hope that's not true. Because,
no,
like,
I feel like it's 100% true. I think the lie part is only the people that followed the creed survived, because we see Bo-Katan and her pals clearly survived, and they didn't follow.
How are they
going to
build a capital that cool and not like? Whenever I saw that
seen it a bunch
in Clone Wars in live action.
No, not in live action.
That's what I meant. Like, at the first time I saw like Clone Wars or like in animation, I'm like, oh my god, this in live action would be insane. You know, if they were to pull it off.
I mean, it was a pretty insane scene.
Yeah, because
but we saw the outside of it. I mean, like inside when they're flying like through the buildings that like make the shape of like the helmet, you know, and like
that's just a lot of money if you want a live action there, probably, you know. But I mean, along with that, I mean, I when she was talking about the Purge, the Great Purge, I was thinking back to Mandalorian, the Clone Wars series, when they were like, you know, we want no part in whatever you guys are doing out here. You know, we're doing our own thing. We're remaining neutral, which that flew when it was during the war. But when you got the winning side that is like, nah, you're going to fall in line. And they're like, you said what now?
Yeah.
Then it's just,
yeah,
you know. So and I mean, like, I'm not really surprised. I'm not surprised because I'm not surprised they fell, because I'm like, it's the Empire. Like, they eventually later on developed a weapon that just destroys planets, you know. So.
No, yeah, and the way that they went about doing this, it was pretty thorough. Like the amount of bombers you saw in the sky, they weren't leaving anything out.
The bombers, the droids going through after the fact and just you know, peppering everybody with, you know,
just Terminator
blasters,
going full Terminator on Mandalore.
Y'all ready for a scene by scene?
Yes, I'll hold it in. I need.
Yeah, we've got a lot of scenes to talk about. We're talking about the scene a lot right now, so I want to get through it real quick. But you know, we open. Let me lay the groundwork first. Released on January 26th, 2022. Written by Jon Favreau, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. Chapter 5: Return of the Mandalorian, and that little play on Return of the Jedi is obviously going to immediately make me hard. But, you know, the episode opens with a bunch of Klatooinian butchers working in their little fucking warehouse. And we see a little silhouette of our boy Din, and that when he steps through, and it's like, fuck yeah, baby, we in here. And about, like, the entire, like, Tuesday, because I stayed up till 2 a.m. to watch this one, I was thinking, like, you know, we theorized a lot about how the hell they would handle this, when he'd show up, what, and I was thinking to myself, you know, based off the way the Mandalorian is paced, he might straight up just be there from the get-go. I didn't expect a whole episode based around Din. I expected him to just show up at Boba's palace, and like that was going to be it. But then to quickly see that, you know, we're just with Din, we're rocking with Din. I was like, okay, all right, I'm in. That shit was hard. But you know, he makes his way through, walks past a bunch of Klatooinians, and enters an office where he states he's looking for Kaba Bias. And one of the Klatooinians is like, what makes you think he's here? And he just very casually pulls out the tracking fobs like, I know he's here. And the alien asks, you know, why? He owes someone a lot of money. Who? It's not my business. So he's like, well, if I see him, I'll let you know. And he pulls out his little fucking thing, his little puck.
Checkmate.
I think I see him right now. He's like, that's not me. That doesn't even look like me. And
you're a businessman. Let's discuss our options
here,
okay?
Din looks around. He's like, all right, I'm going to give you the opportunity to walk out of the door. I have no quarrel with you. Just this guy right here. And Baya's like, well, I have the upper hand. So you seem like a man of reason. What are our options? I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold. And I was like, yes!
The whole bring you in cold part, I was thinking like, you know, he's going to freeze him. Forgetting about the fact that he doesn't really, you know, like, who knows what ship he's in or whatever. I was thinking he was going to do the, like he did to the one guy in the first season of The Mandalorian.
the kryptonite, freeze him in
Yeah,
kryptonite.
not kryptonite.
Carbonite.
Carbonite. Okay, yeah.
Kryptonite.
Like freeze him in carbonite. I was thinking he was going to do that. And at the end of the scene, whenever he's walking out with the dude's head in a bag, I'm like, oh, so he meant like cold.
Yeah, like dead. But one of the Clatoonians jumps towards Din, bites his fucking hand. He's like, God damn, really? That's how we're doing it. Okay. So he fights all of them off. A Clatoonian fires a bunch of blaster bolts at his bag, and then
one nut right after the other. We get the line, and then bam, right here. So I mean, come on, man. Continue. Sorry.
I just wanted to say, I just love those moments in Star Wars where there's talking and then there's just maybe like a little scuffle, but then all of a sudden somebody just drops the dick on the floor and goes, I got a fucking lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, fuck.
Because
everyone's done.
Come on,
someone
man.
just says, you better be ready. I'm about ready to push some pee.
He's
all those henchmen had to just be like, really? Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do against this thing that can literally cut through anything?
Yeah, I don't know why they tried. I don't know.
The fact that the leader guy tries to hide it, be like, I don't know who that is. He's not here. And it's like, dude, I literally have something that tells me that it's you.
You think they would set me out on a bounty?
Yeah, I know
not know who I'm looking for. They didn't just tell me you were 50 on this one, buddy.
Yeah, I have something
that important
that is tracking you. And then also the fact that he's like, I mean, you guys can all leave. I don't need to kill all of you. And then he lights up the Darksaber, and they're all still like, yeah, I think we should fight. I get the boldness whenever it's like 6-on-1 and you think he's just a normal bounty hunter. Cool. Be bold. As soon as he lights up the Darksaber, you know what?
That's the rule of Mandalore.
Yeah. And
I'm going to go hang myself on one of these hooks.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes in the mob stories, though. Your captains, they'll fight for you in every moment. But then the guys that are right outside the door, they're taking all the money right after you guys are dead. That's just how it goes. And they're trying to make this guy seem somewhat important, that he was running somewhat of a crime thing,
But I mean, and then to give us that right off the bat, sometimes you sit and you wait. But I think they've been very good as far as. Some people were disappointed with the first episode because they were like, "Oh, it took a while to get into it and whatnot." I mean, they've been good, I think, so far with the previous weeks of episodes of giving us something to hook us at the beginning, whether it be a storyline from his past or if it's some type of chase scene after the mayor or something, And so me watching it, I'm thinking as a viewer, I'm like, "Oh, okay, Mando collecting a bounty, okay, he about to tear these dudes up." But in the back, in the front of my head, I didn't go, oh, he has a he's walking in. Oh, there's Mando. He has a Darksaber.
That's what's interesting is I'm sitting here, I'm wondering okay, what does the Darksaber mean to him at the moment? Is it a weapon he won't use to take on bounties? Bo-Katan's just fucking pissed. This man's using the Darksaber for fucking bounties. But, OP
though.
Oh yeah. And he throws this motherfucker around the room, it looks real heavy. And during the struggle, he accidentally wounds himself with a little leg tap, and then two of the Clatoonians attempt to restrain him while Baez prepares to shoot him and breaks free, cuts them all down, and he sticks that vibroblade in him, slams him on the desk, and then he sliced him in half, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't think we were going there.
Do you think he knew? Because this is a weapon that he's very new with, and this is probably his first fight that he had with it. He knows. He obviously knows it's cutting through anything he slices with it. But he's never had a weapon where he can cut someone in half this easily. And he's just trying to kill these people. I don't think
he knew he was cutting this person in half. He's used the Darksaber to cut through doors before. You don't think he's thinking as he's mid downswing on this that it's not going to cut this dude in half?
He's just trying to get the kill, and that's just the way he had to do it right there.
And even if not, he's watched Luke.
True.
Do his fucking thing with a lightsaber. So he knew the thing. He's fought lightsabers. With a Beskar spear, knowing a Beskar spear is the only thing that can stop it, or Beskar is the only thing that can stop it. So I'm pretty sure he knew he was cutting right through this motherfucker. And then to get that shot of all of them outside looking through it, and then to see the Darksaber rise up, and then hear, and that's him cutting off this dude's head. It's damn. Oh my god, we're really out here. And, he walks outside with the head in the bag, and Din's like, all right, your boss is dead, and I'm here to collect his bounty. I don't want any trouble with you. There's a pile of New Republic credits in there. They're not mine. If you want to go ahead and get in there, if you let me pass, we can do that. And they're like, all right, sounds like a fucking deal. And he goes ahead and limps right on out of there. This was just a great opening to an episode. And immediately, it just really distinguishes the style of The Mandalorian from the Book of Boba Fett, because we're immediately in here and I'm like, this is an episode of The Mandalorian. This doesn't look anything like anything we've seen in the Book of Boba. And the planetary thing could be a very important part of that. We're on Tatooine. We're getting a lot of bright visuals. We're not getting a lot of low lit,
dark.
Artificial luminescent lighting. It's just kind of the sun all the time.
This was, as Tillman said, a very strong hook for an episode. And I completely agree. It just drags. You get the Mando coming in. You get the fight. You get him using the Darksaber. You get him piecing out with his bounty, and you're just like, oh my god, oh I love it. Oh, this is exactly this is a great return to the Mandalorian style.
Oh, it was just the best opening to an episode yet for me. And
also, the first time that we've really seen Mando, or this is the second or third time we've seen Mando collect a real bounty.
Yeah, for real, just be on a job, go and kill the motherfucker and leave.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Because I'm trying to think, the only other bounty we've only seen him collect.
A simple bounty? Do you think? You think it's
it was him going after info about how to get to the armor.
Oh, that's true. That's all he added. That's right.
It was money
in exchange. And that's what's cool, too, is that, there's also the implication that there was a series of things that led him to this planet, because on this planet, he collects that bounty and goes and does the bounty on this planet, the ring planet that we've seen. I think it's called Glavis.
Sick.
Yeah. As soon as I saw that, I sent Joseph a message, and I was like, damn, I didn't know we were playing Halo.
No, yeah, that shit was fucking awesome. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh.
Kind of a cool thing is their day-night cycle. The planet itself is a clock. If you wanted to know what time it is, you just walk outside and look to where the sun is, on the ring. And you would know, how, that's just, I don't know. I kind of just sat there and was like, damn, what would it be like to live on a place like this?
Dude, that place looked awesome.
If you, I would assume you could just fly horizontally straight across, in a ship, and just go to the other side. If you want to go to your friend's house that's on the other side, you just you don't have to go all the way over, but I don't know. I was gonna ask the people who he got the job from, who he got the information of the armor from. Do we know anything about them? Are they just literally just
some random characters on a random planet?
On this planet who had a bounty to be taken. He took their bounty, and that was that.
It was probably these people know some information about where the armor is at, or how to get down, how to get down there. So he was probably given a tip of, these people have some information. He went to them and said, what do I need to do to get that information? And they had a bounty for him. So he, claimed the bounty to get the information.
What was this him falling down the ladder almost? Was it just because his leg was hurt?
We'll get there.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
No, you're cool. But in space, the camera, depicts us this ring world of Glavis, and we see him walk his way all the way up to that motherfucker in the place. But we saw him in the elevator next to someone who he's just holding a severed head. So if you're in the elevator next to someone holding a severed head, you do exactly what this guy did. You go, what the oh, he's looking at me. Shit.
It made me think there's just normal people in Star Wars. Not everyone is a Din Djarin.
No, and that's what's hilarious is the way that I know if I get on an elevator and Din Djarin gets on that elevator, I feel perfectly safe. But that's because I know Din Djarin.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because everybody else can just assume this dude's a Mandalorian. He's holding a severed head. I'm in danger. I'm in danger. But meanwhile, this guy's probably fucking pissing his pants, and Din's like, I literally couldn't give less of a shit about you. I'm just getting straight to business. And he walks up to a group called the Ishi Tib. The Ishi Tib. They invite him. They're like, come on, sit down. And he's like, where's the closest shaft to the substrata? And they're like, come on, sit down. We got another job for you. And he's like, fine, you can keep your reward. I'm gonna go ahead and take this somewhere else. A lot of people wanted Baez. He warns that if he doesn't give this information, someone else will. And they're like, all right, fine, head down to Kolzak Alley and the heat vent towers. They'll help you out there. And he's like, all right, I'm going to go. And they're like, come on, we have another job for you. He's like, no, go ahead and put this thing on ice.
Yeah, he does not give a fuck anymore.
And then this was just like itty bitty scene. Like this 2-second framework where he walks out of this room into the elevator and then we watch him go down, like the music being loud, the elevator doors shutting, watching him and the muffled music and stuff as he goes down. I was like, it's just interesting to think about, like, he's just at a club, basically like a Star Wars club, and he just conducted a bounty. He's just leaving. Like, I don't know. I like thinking about things in like terms of the real world. Like, you've been in a place where music was blaring, you went to another room and you heard, like, that's just little real world touches.
That camera work, like of him walking out, like that oneer. It was like a whole one shot where like he got in the elevator, went down and came out. Like, unnecessary, like there's no reason to do that, but it was just cool. It was just cool. Like, yeah.
He walks out of that lift down the hallway and finds his way to some, he turns on his ultraviolet scanner and finds his way through some mythosaur markings, makes his way all the way to a door where, after he follows the trail, finds a hatch down beneath a stairwell. And, he does trip down this ladder. And I think it's because he's just used to having healthy legs. And then he took a step like he had a healthy leg and he didn't have a healthy leg.
I was wondering, like, if it was just on like a complete accident and they were like, that makes sense. We'll put it in there. Like,
that would be funny. But I do think it's funny. This dude walked who knows how long with this injury. He climbs down a ladder. He does all this, but it's these last 5 steps. He just can't get through them.
It's like running a marathon. You think you're all good, you cross that finish line and pass out. Like,
but when he gets down there at the bottom of those stairs and we see that shot of the armorer looking all Heimdall head ass out over the stars, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, here we go, baby. And, we see the big boy, heavy infantry Mando, as he has priorly been referred to, but now he has a name in Paz Vizsla. He tends to Din's injury.
The fucking Vizslas.
Fucking Jon Favreau, baby.
Is it actually him in there?
It's his voice, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, because I knew it was him last time, but I didn't know if they stuck with him. Like
that is something I will say. I don't know if they stuck with him for this episode. It sounded enough like him for me to think he did.
Yeah.
But he did sound a little different, which led me to believe maybe there was something else going on. But I didn't look into it. I'm just assume that it probably was him, just to stick with the continuity.
Probably assuming he wasn't the one fighting though.
Probably not in the suit.
Not in suit, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He has all that. Wait, you said Jon Favreau, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he has all the experience from being Happy, right?
Yeah, Happy Hogan. Scenes. He got that whole sequence in Iron Man 2.
Exactly. So who knows? Maybe it was him, posted up in the suit, doing his own stunts.
But Vizsla kneels down next to Jar and he's like, "We didn't know if we would see you again." And Din thanks him for saving him on Navarro. The first of many thank yous from Din Djarin in this episode, which I thought was just cute. He's becoming a very thankful little guy.
Can I just say, fucking Paz Vizsla, he turns on Din so quick.
Oh, and immediately when he looked at the Darksaber for the first time, you're like, well, here's our first challenger.
Yeah, literally, he's so thankful. It seems like they're getting along. Who knows? Maybe they're going to be friends. Pulls his Darksaber out and he's like, I'll kill you for it.
Bring that to me.
Vizsla, he's even like, there are only 3 of us left. He's the one who says that. And then he applies the Bacta spray onto him and the armor's like, well, what could have caused this? And he pulls out the Darksaber and Vizsla's like, oh, fuck. And he goes and carries it on over to the armorer. She talks about the ancientness of the blade and mocks the Empire's measly 30-year existence in comparison to the Mandalorian's tens of thousands. And the armorer asks if Din Djarin knows of the Darksaber and its significance. He's like, well, I know that it's the Darksaber and that whoever has it can rule Mandalore. And she's like, yes, but the Darksaber must be won by creed in battle. And like this was the part where it was like, aha.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how we clarify what happened when Bo-Katan just took the Darksaber, which I really, really appreciated. And, you know, the armor tells of a legend where one warrior is to defeat 20 and thereby bringing the multitudes to fall before it. She says, however, if the saber is not won in combat or falls in the hands of the undeserving, the Darksaber will become a curse unto the nation. Mandalore will be laid to waste and its people will be scattered to the four winds. And,
well,
there
maybe
you have
they got some truth to their cultness over here.
maybe a little bit.
Or they maybe set these actions in place.
Mo-Katan must have learned her lesson too, because you see she didn't try to fight it either. When Mando had it, she was like, nah, it has to be won. Because he tried to give it to her. She must have learned her lesson.
She was like, nah, I know I can't take that. I completely fucked Mandalore the first time.
Yo.
See, I feel like that's one of those situations where it just like it became its own self-fulfilling prophecy, and then now she's just like she's afraid of it. It's kind of like the whole like people who are superstitious
I don't think
for
there's
games
actually a causality there.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm saying like it's one of those. It's kind of like being superstitious for like sports and stuff like that, where it's its own self-fulfilling prophecy, and you have to continue doing it not because you think it actually works, but just in case it actually works.
Right, exactly, and just, you know, Din rises to his feet with you know, a little bit of a stagger and states the hilt is of a quality of Beskar that he has never seen before. And the armor explains that the Darksaber was forged a millennium ago by the Mandalore Tar Vizsla. She explains that Tar was both Mandalorian and a Jedi. And like, I just like that there are just all the shit not all the shit you thought from Legends was true. Like, but there's plenty of stuff they're taking from Legends history and going, this happened.
It's all the shit that it's like, listen, all you fucking mega nerds out there that have, you know, either read the Legends stuff or looked up the Legends stuff, you all already know this. But here's the stuff for people who aren't massive fucking nerds.
Right.
We're just going to tell you what happened because so that way you can understand why this is important.
That's what's also kind of funny though, is that because like every once in a while Emily will be on standby while I'm watching one of these episodes, right? And someone will say something like, that's worse than a skank in the scud pie. And she'll be like, what the fuck? Because like, you know, there's like, and even terms like this, she explains that Mandalore Tar Vizsla was both Jedi and Mandalorian. It's like, what the fuck does that Tar Vizsla? Is that a person? Is that like, but
that's fair. Like to the uneducated, Star Wars is kind of hard to get into. Like,
it is like that. There's a reason that people who like Star Wars have liked Star Wars since they were young. It's like, it's something that is extremely hard to jump into. Like it's
got a lot of dank ferrics this episode.
Dank ferric.
Mando had some good similes or metaphors. You know, like we've been talking to how Boba's been having
drive smooth as a gonk scomp jack. Like what the fuck? I love that.
They're all so fucking stupid too.
Man.
And they're all things that, that as we say, like they say, and you're just like, shut up.
Next time I like shave my face or something, I'll be like, damn, that shit's smooth as a gonk scomp jack. But you know, Din says, you know, he's met Jedi. And the armor's like, so you've completed your quest. And she's like, you can come back and join our coven in order to rebuild. And they're like, yeah, this is the way. And Din and Vizsla assemble the smelter, and Vizsla asks how he obtained the Darksaber, and Din's like, well, I defeated Moff Gideon. They're like, you better have killed his ass. And he's like, nah, if he's going to be killed, he'll be killed by the New Republic Tribunal. Like, they'll figure that shit out. And, you know, they're like, you know, he should have died. You know, he's responsible for millions of Mandalorian deaths. And Din says, you know, he'll be executed. And the armor's like, okay, we'll see. And that little line there is like,
he's not going to get executed.
Foreshadowing.
He's not getting executed. Yeah, no way.
No, he's not. But you know, I can't wait to see Moff Gideon again, because like the way that they're eventually going to tie up this Grand Admiral Thrawn to Moff Gideon and sort of this whole connection with the Empire trying to rebuild, like I'm excited for however that's supposedly happening, and I'm ready to see it sort of take place. You know what I'm saying? But
this,
nevertheless,
I guess this is kind of coming up. But like the whole Mandalorian spear, or like the Beskar spear, like kind of thing here. I guess like the question arises is like if Mandalorian are like the only ones who know how to like work with Beskar, you know, and like it's not a very common, you know, like people who are not Mandalorian don't really know how to work with Beskar. At least is that
like
for the most part. There are some because that's because how like the Empire
so then the spear,
melted it all down.
So that spear just came from like the like some like I was thinking where the spear could have come from, because like no way someone from this creed made it, because it's like they're so against it, you know. It's like it's meant for armor and not weapons, which is like, okay, you know, I never thought about that before, you know, like a Beskar weapon would pierce Beskar armor, and that, you know, it does make sense why they would be like against Beskar weapons.
It certainly does, but I think it's another thing that's a good example of them probably being like this sect of Mandalorians being extremist. And like I'd be willing to bet Mandalore has forged Beskar weapons. These Mandalorians are not with that. At least that's how I would take that to mean.
I would take it to mean, one, I do agree with you. I think that there are some that would have forged like Beskar weapons in the past, but I took this as more of like this was just something that the Empire made, because you have to remember the Empire did just steal all of the Beskar and melted it all down.
Oh yeah, and it was in the possession of that chick who was working for Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah, it was she was working for Thrawn. And the Empire did steal a bunch of Beskar and turn it into, you know, shiny gold bars, but instead shiny Beskar bars. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a chance that one of them that was melting it down was just like, you know what, we could probably make like a weapon out of this in case there are more Mandalorians out there, because some survived. So.
Yeah, but nevertheless, before the Beskar spear talk, the armorer talks about the songs of the past, prophesizing the rise of the mythosaur to herald a new age of Mandalore. She opens the cabinet containing several Beskar sticks, and she continues, you know, but sadly this is only in legends, which I think was a little bit of a fourth wall break. This is only in legends. However,
wink,
I think it's a red herring. I think if and this is interesting because, you know, we'll get there more later in regards to his having to be banished from this Mandalorian covet and how much that means to him and stuff. But do you think there's any chance, you know, Boba got his Rancor, Din gets his mythosaur?
Oh.
Heralding the new age of Mandalore alongside a couple of other Mandalorians. It could be pretty fucking cool.
Okay.
And in that, I would say that would happen when he goes to the mines of Mandalore to cleanse himself of the sin he's committed.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like that seems like the type of thing where it was like you know, the mines have all been destroyed. He's going to have to find some new way down to the, you know, the sacred waters of Mandalore or whatever it was to cleanse himself. And then along the way, he's just going to find like a fucking mythosaur lair.
I think that's a possibility. But after all that, you know, they have the discussion of the Darksaber spear, and I like that immediately. Din's like, okay, that's fine. Go ahead, melt it down, and make something for a family. That's not for a second, but you know, the armorer puts the Beskar spear on the top of the smelt, and Din takes a seat and asks if she's familiar with Bo-Katan Kryze, and the armorer describes Kryze as a cautionary tale, and she wanted to rule Mandalore based purely on blood and the Darksaber. She points out that it was gifted to her, not won by Creed, from Sabine Wren to Bo-Katan Kryze, and that Kryze was born of a mighty house, but lost sight of the way. She says her rule ended in tragedy, stating that Kryze lost her way while the Mandalorian people lost their home world. And I was like, yeah, you know. And I saw, like, it's interesting. because this comes back around on the whether or not the armorer is the most reliable narrator. Because she is an extremist, and what seems to be sort of a holy figure in the cult, the covet that they've developed here. So, like,
did she answer to someone before?
The things she says,
you know, like, there's no way she's like, always been this position forever. You know, like it goes back, you know, however many tens of thousands of years. So, like, obviously, like, she might just not know. Like, this might just be all she knows.
Right.
And like she like that is legitimately the truth to her because like that's all she knows.
Right.
But it is interesting because like we shouldn't really trust anything that she says, you know, like
Colton, when have, you know, religious extremists, the leader of those groups, when have they ever been known to lie?
Dude.
Never.
Never.
Right. So that's why, like, why would
yeah,
you? What incentive does she have to lie?
Everything she says.
Just accept it face value. Be happy about it.
But nevertheless, you know, as the spears melted down, she goes into her story. You know, she says, had their sect not been cloistered on the moon of Concordia, which is a nice little. If you've watched the Clone Wars, you're really getting fulfillment out of this. Like, if you're a prequel trilogy fan, frankly. And everything that the ancillary material that comes with the prequel trilogy, like the Clone Wars and stuff, you fucking loved this episode. This was a prequel fan's wet dream in terms of the way that it met the original trilogy elements and the sort of things that we see in that era. But nevertheless, the mention of Concordia there is what sparked that for me. But says that they wouldn't have survived the Great Purge if not for that. And in a flashback scene, she remembers bombers bombing the cities of Mandalore with atomic weapons, and the armor says that those born of Mandalore strayed from the path, and eventually the Imperial interlopers destroyed all that they knew and loved in the Night of 1,000 Tears. They destroyed the whole capital, then scour the ruins for survivors, and the armorer says that only those who walked the way escaped the curse prophesied in the creed. Though their numbers were scattered to the winds, she opines that their adherence to the way has preserved their legacy for the generations. Until they can return to their home world.
Now, could that be like her just saying like, we've just stayed smart and that's why we've stayed alive this whole time? Like, it is our precautions that we take that's kept us alive. You know, is that what she's saying? Or is she saying like, only because we don't show our face and we
because of the way, because of the religion we follow. That's why we survived. And you know, that's a big part of faith. You know, like that's something that you're going to think, like, no matter what it is, it's a product of your, like, not no matter what, but it's a product of the Almighty. And since they followed the way, you know, they're being granted their lives in this situation in the armorer's mind. But the armorer asks, you know, what would you like me to forge? And Din says, something for a foundling. The armorer goes, yeah, this is the way. Good for you, buddy. And Din's like, for a specific foundling, Grogu. And you're like, yeah.
Let's go.
It's fucking time, baby. And the armorer goes, you know, Grogu's no longer in your care. He's back with his kind. And Din's like, well, I want to check on him, make sure he's safe. I want to see him. Make sure he's safe. And I was like, yeah, you do, buddy. You miss your little guy. Just say it. You know it. And, the armor tells him, you know, the Jedi must forego all attachment in order to master the ways of the Force. And Din's like, but that's the opposite of our creed. Ours is loyalty and solidarity. And the armor is like, you know what? Touche. What should I forge the foundling Grogu? And she melts and beats the shit out of the Beskar into link chains. And I like to imagine that these little rings end up going all the way around his fucking ears.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, is it like a chainmail sort of armor that they're giving? Like, is that what they're going for? Or like,
that's the thing, because like it'll have to be condensed somehow, because that's a little dude.
Yeah, and that was a lot of Beskar.
And there's also the fact that maybe he's not getting forged a necessarily armor. But I mean, and you know, this is kind of weird because, you know, the whole Jedi training thing, part of it is forging your lightsaber. But I could see Din being the supportive dad who doesn't know better, who goes ahead and makes the hilt for.
Got you your lightsaber already, buddy. Here, I'm passing.
Yeah.
I'm
And Luke's like,
pumping
get
you
that
up.
shit out of here.
What the fuck, dude? Yeah.
But
I didn't think about that.
nevertheless, though, he makes something for Grogu, and I really fuck with the fact that we're getting something for Grogu and Beskar.
The little bag was shaped like his head, dude. Come on. And he looked at it. He just held it, and he was like, this is for Grogu. It looks like him already. Like, it was...
So it's basically a rule from now on. If you're getting a present for someone, the wrapping needs to be in the shape of their head.
Yes. Interesting. New rule just dropped. Yep,
new
patch.
rule just dropped.
New patch.
Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian. All gifts must be wrapped in the way of the shape of the head of the person you're gifting it to.
This is the way.
Such is the way of things.
Colton, just because of the fact that I know you are on Star Wars Twitter just about as much as I am, did you see the thing with Grogu with all of his ears pierced with the little metal rings? That shit was hilarious.
Yes, that shit was outstanding. But nevertheless, after that, later on, the armorer practices sword fighting with Din, who wields the Darksaber, and she's speaking the Mandalorian native language to him, which, you know, it's interesting, like, whether Din understands the Mandalorian native language or, you know, like, these are sword fighting technique words. Like, you know, I say this, you do this. I say this, you do this.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of cool that they all know. You know, they're extremist enough to where they would force to learn the language, you know, like
I'm thinking it's a little bit of both. Like it's both he understands it, and it also might just be like like what they use to practice. They just speak in that language.
Right.
But because of the fact that you mentioned it, Colton, all I can imagine is like the image of like, I don't know why, but it comes to mind of the like Hispanic mother just like yelling at her kids in Spanish. Like whenever they do something wrong, just like screaming at them in Spanish, and that's all I can picture is that he's the armor just like yelling
in a foreign
at
language.
Yeah, just like yelling at Din, like she's like angry at him to the extent of like, I'm so angry, I'm going back to my main language.
Asshole!
It's made out of light. You're swinging that awful slow over there, man. You suck. Come on, get better. Like, I mean, cool.
But
clarification.
I am gonna point out here, you know, he's getting trained by the armorer here, but not for long.
True.
He's gonna go visit a little friend. Who with his little friend knows how to use a lightsaber.
Swings it pretty well too. Pretty light and quick.
Luke fucking Skywalker might train Din Djarin in the ways of the Darksaber.
And they kind of foreshadowed it in like the conversation, like I don't know, like the armorer said something like you can't learn unless you there were just a lot of little things she was saying where it's like
he's fighting towards
like
blade,
he's going to train. You know, like this is just the very beginning of his training.
I almost think I love the idea of him learning from Luke, but I also would love the idea of him learning from like an Ezra. Or like a Sabine, just because of the fact that they both like were forced to like learn, you know, how to use a lightsaber whenever they were older. I guess not with Ezra, because Luke and Ezra were pretty similar, but more of like the Sabine, like someone who doesn't know the Force, someone who's like forced to like,
you know,
fight using it without actually knowing how to like fight with it instead of against it type thing. I think that could be a pretty cool thing. I'm
with you. I can see that for sure. And like Sabine Wren personally makes the most sense to me as the person who would train Din to wield the Darksaber. In terms of like ability to actually get them back in the show. Like a whole other thing with Luke Skywalker training Din. Like, I just don't see that happening. And I also didn't see him showing up in the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. So like, you know, I won't believe it until it happens. But like
the only way I see Luke training Din is if Din and Grogu are so inseparable that he has to stay there. And he just becomes like this honorary Jedi to where he picks up on enough things and then he's like trying to do some Force stuff on his own one day and then he gets it and he's like, Luke, Like, I know you're not supposed to teach me. I know I'm way too old, but look. And then he like shows Grogu first and has this cute moment. Like, that's what I thought. Like in my head, I'm like, no way Luke's in a train den. Like, no way he's becoming a Jedi. You know, but then mentioning the first Mandalorian to wield the Darksaber and to be a Jedi, you know, like
I think I see like
honorary Jedi I see happening. Like, not full blown master, but like
who was in charge of Rebels?
Dave Filoni was like the head guy, but he wasn't like writing every episode.
Well, I know, but I was just gonna say, like, I feel like they could do like a very like parallel with Rebels. How they had in there was, you know, as while Ezra was learning to use a lightsaber. I can't remember the what was the Jedi's name? Kanan was also teaching Sabine how to use the Darksaber, and they were like training at the same time. I could very much see something like that happening where Din, you know, decides to bring his little baggie of chainmail to Grogu, and whenever he gets there, Luke decides to try and teach both of them at the same time.
Is Kylo going to be there?
Yeah, that's another thing people haven't, like, I've seen a little bit about, but haven't really been harping on. A potentiality of a young Ben Solo.
Yeah, sorry, not Kylo yet. Ben.
Yeah,
but
sure. I don't know if you guys talked about it earlier because I did walk away. Did you guys talk about like the idea of that being like the little armor, the little chainmail thing being the same thing that could save him, like saving Grogu?
Oh my God!
He'd be wearing Beskar.
Oh, you guys didn't.
Okay, wait.
I'm happy I mentioned something because that's
still
like
is a defense. Okay, no, I guess he would be training, so he's not defenseless any longer. You know, like.
Well, but like my thought is, do you remember? Have you guys seen Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Well,
where he gets where he get
I think Frodo I know
gets the like the mithril armor, and that protects him, and like no one knows that he has it. This could be like, hey, no one knows that Grogu has like a fucking Beskar, you know, chainmail suit on underneath, and then maybe Kylo
tries to chop Grogu.
Takes like a fucking swipe at his side, and Grogu just like hops on for the fucking ride and like just.
I wasn't thinking that. I was more thinking like Kylo like tries to kill him in his moment of anger where he turns to the dark side, thinks he's killed him, moves on, and then we find out later on like, oh no, he wasn't dead because he had this gift from Din. It protected him, and then he ended up surviving because of it.
Now, this is assuming they don't go, we need Grogu in season 3 of The Mandalorian.
That's assuming that, yes. But I was just like, my first thought whenever I saw the little chainmail Beskar thing, my first thought was the like Lord of the Rings, like, this could be what saves Grogu. That absolutely could be what saves Grogu. That hadn't even occurred to me. I'm glad you said something. But that's a really good idea. But Din, throughout this training, he takes a little fall. And the little noise he makes where he goes, "Hoo!" and falls over the edge is hilarious. He jetpacks back up and she tells him he's fighting against the blade. And he's like, well, this shit gets heavier every fucking minute. You're fighting against the blade. She says that he should be fighting his opponent, not the blade, tells him to stand up. And Din rises to his feet and continues to fight the armor, knocks him on his helmet, fights back with her tools. And when she gains the upper hand, Din says, she says, he's too weak to fight against the Darksaber. Don't fight against it. You'll lose. You can't control your strength. And Din wants to try again, but the armor warns that persistence without insight will lead to the same outcome.
What a quote here. Like, although from a cult leader pretty much, but
no, like this is a pretty good, like, you keep trying the same Jedi thing quote without
right here.
Yeah.
Like,
and I got some, like, there were moments in this episode where I was like, what the armorer know about it?
I know. She seemed to have a vast knowledge.
She also knew quite a bit with like Grogu whenever they first popped up. She was like, hey, he's a fucking Jedi, dude.
And I mean, I don't know how well she knows Din's voice or anything. She never turns around and knows Din's there.
What do you mean?
Like whenever he shows up, she's staring off into the void of space.
Oh.
He drops to his knees and she's like, tend to him.
So you're saying like, what if maybe she's a little,
a little in touch.
Maybe a little in touch with the Force, and you're saying like, how the fuck does she know that he's behind him and is hurt? And she's
she heard him, but like
into him. Yeah, you're saying like, what if she's a little bit more in touch with the Force than what people realize?
Now, guys, or maybe nobody knows about the secret location except 3 people.
He doesn't know about the secret. They don't know that he knows though.
Mm-hmm.
He found out
he's getting the information from someone, and I would assume if anyone is looking on information on where their secret base is, that would be pertinent information.
Okay, that's fair.
But this other way is a lot more fun, though. Like, she is sitting out looking at the stars, meditating.
Yeah, but also the first thing that what is it, Paz Vizsla? Is that what she says his name is? First thing that he says to him is like, "Oh, we didn't think we'd ever see you again." So they clearly didn't know that he would, like, if they knew that he was coming, they would be expecting him. His first words were, "I didn't think I'd ever see you again."
But like Joseph said, if anybody was to find them and pop up in there, it would be him.
That's true. You know what? We'll write it off to that for now, because I don't think they're going the route that the Armorer is in touch with
Joseph,
the Force,
I'm so disappointed in you. Normally this is like perfect, Joseph, I'm going to grab onto this and, full
He's seen some growth, man. He's seen some growth over the last year of pods.
I mean, I still got some stuff.
You got some wacky shit.
I mean, I still got some.
No, I mean, he says some out-of-pocket wacky shit every now and then, but not nearly to the episodic basis that he once upon a time was spitting some crazy shit.
Well, I know that, but that's just why I'm like, I figured as soon as you said, potential, Armorer could be Force inclined, I figured that would be just...
That's right on the money for him.
Joseph would key in on that immediately and go, yes, this is now everything.
But nevertheless, Paz comes around a corner and is like, "Huh, maybe the blade belongs to someone else then, huh? This shit was forged by my ancestor, founder of House Vizsla. I'm going to go ahead and fuck on you right quick."
He said, maybe you just suck with the sword and I should have it.
Then he picks it up and he's having a tougher time than Din was. He's like,
I fucking, fuck you, dude, but also it's pretty funny to just walk over and be like, "Huh, maybe you shouldn't have the sword, bitch."
Yeah, he's like, "I've been watching you from over there, and that was bad."
He was just waiting. He was waiting to come in. He knew he was going to challenge him. He just had to wait to come in at a time where he could say a line,
Yeah, and he was also tiring himself out and everything,
This is the equivalent of the hard shit talker that's sitting there being like, "Man, you fucking suck at this, dude. Figure it out. Here, let me show you how it's done," and then just is terrible at it, immediately.
Yeah.
I love that, Paz goes, "The sword was forged by my ancestor," and Din goes, "It belongs to me." I was like, okay, all right, tell him, Din. Because, until that point, we don't have any confirmation that this dude wants this saber. This is the line that makes you go, oh, he wants the saber. It belongs to me now.
Yeah, before that, I was kind of thinking, is he just using this as, a tool for now? Or is he, actually, attached to this? And then, he had that line of, "This was forged by my ancestor." And he was like, "Well, your ancestor doesn't have any more, bitch." And I was like, "Oh, okay, so this is his weapon now. This is his new, this is the, what sets him apart now."
I love it. But, and I love the line earlier whenever, she takes the Beskar spear from him and it's like, the Darksaber is a much more noble weapon for you to yield anyway, You don't need the fucking Beskar spear, but
could you imagine if she took the Beskar spear from him and was like, the Darksaber's much better for you, and then he just lost it 15 minutes later, and he's like, "Great, now I don't have the Darksaber or the Beskar spear.
God damn it,
I'll go fuck myself.
Damn it, Armorer." But he says it now belongs to me, and Viz was like, "Because you won it in combat," and it's like, yeah. And then,
I did.
Yeah, Viz was like, "And now I'll win it from you." And, the Armorer's like, "You accept this duel, motherfucker?" And Din's like, "Yeah." And, they face off in real Western, face-to-face, set down their jetpack off, take everything off. I was like, wait a minute. You're telling me all this motherfucker needs to do to win is throw him off the side? That's crazy.
Yeah, they're noble enough to...
Well, and also if he's holding the Darksaber and you throw him off, you lose the Darksaber too. There's no winning there.
Damn, man, that's just out there in space.
Yeah,
I guess they got it.
That'd be interesting. Where's it end up then? But Din unsheathes the Darksaber while Vizsla wields a dagger and an energy shield. And the little shot that we got of Din is like a perfect mirror of a shot we got of Sabine Wren in training, which I thought was perfect. But Vizsla attacks Din first, bashing him with his weapons, and Din fights back and quickly destroys the vibro blade. And but despite losing his weapons, Paz has a little bit of a muscle on Din, just a little bit bigger if you hadn't noticed. And he throws his ass all over the place, keeps throwing his head against that fucking wall, picks up the saber and is like,
It is fate that has brought this blade back to my clan. And now it will end you.
But, because he's so big and slow, he's very easily able to dodge, and he just kind of cuts him up real nice and Yelena Belova-like in the Black Widow. But, he ultimately gains the upper hand, has the knife at his throat, and the armor's like, all right, that's it. I don't need anyone else dying out here.
She would then be the only one left.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, all right, that's it. And as soon as she goes, Paz Vizsla, have you ever removed your helmet? I went, fuck. And, Vizsla's like,
you know what? This shows even more. This bitch has the Force. No chance she just immediately is going to be like, have you ever removed your helmet? All right, now Din, have you ever removed your helmet?
I thought this was an interesting time. Like, is this just how we end duels?
Yeah, we ended the duel. Now, solidarity check. Have you ever removed your helmet? You have? Leave.
Yeah. I love that, he's like, no. Has it ever been removed by others? No. And this is the way. Din Djarin, have you ever removed your helmet?
The silence was awkward, man.
And she's like, have you ever removed the helmet? By creed, you must vow. He releases Paz Vizsla, and he's like, yeah, I have. And the armor's like, then you are a Mandalorian no longer. And he's like, please, how can I atone? And
leave, apostate.
And according to creed, one can only be redeemed in the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore. And I was like, well, that's a setup line if I've ever heard a fucking setup line.
Can I just say, excellent fucking use of apostate.
Right.
Just was not expecting for him to be called an apostate. Like, one, wasn't expecting to see him in this episode anyway, but was not expecting to see Din ever get called a fucking apostate.
Right.
Fucking, he goes, leave apostate. And I was like, all right.
I
see.
We got
the
vocab out here in the universe. But,
okay, you didn't call it like jizz-postate or something stupid?
Right. But she says, according to creed, one can only be redeemed in the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore. And Din's like, but the mines have been destroyed. And the armor's like, yeah, too bad. So fucking sad, buddy. This is the way.
Sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, exactly. And Din's like, all right, fine. I'm a dip. He leaves with the Darksaber and Grogu's shit, and he exits through the hatch he came earlier, and with the armorer's back literally turned to him. Like, one can only get so far without a tribe, and his tribe has just turned his back on him. And but he makes his way to a spaceport where he's about to board a flight to Tatooine. And droid tells him there are no weapons permitted aboard the flight. And I like that, like, immediately. The last thing he heard was, you are no longer a Mandalorian. And he goes, fuck that. I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are a part of my... Like, the fact that these words, like, I don't even think, like, the reason there's part of me that goes, okay, the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore, like, that might be a setup line. The part of it that makes me go, maybe not, is the fact that Din couldn't give less of a fuck about what the armorer thinks anymore, I don't think. Like, I think he's like, y'all are kicking me out of here for taking off my helmet? That's not the way. Like, I know that can't be the way. You know what I'm saying?
See, but I also think, like, that's why he's like, no, I'm still a fucking Mandalorian, and I'm going to prove to you that I'm still a Mandalorian. I don't give a fuck what you think, but I'm going to make you realize that I'm still a Mandalorian
I could also see that.
Regardless of your stupid fucking, this is the way. I cannot remove my helmet, even in front of, a little baby Yoda creature.
Yeah. Maybe that's the case as well. But the droid's like, no weapons allowed. And he suggests, that Din speak with his supervisor who can book him on tomorrow's flight. And he's like, fine. And I love the fact we take what is essentially the Star Wars equivalent of like Mjolnir or like the Infinity Gauntlet, and we just throw it in baggage claim.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw this, I was like, fuck, this is going to be a problem. And then it absolutely wasn't a problem. They were like,
I thought I was the exact, as soon as you said, like, I know exactly what's in there. I'll know if anything's missing. I was like, the fucking Darksaber is going to get stolen. It's going to go missing. Like, what, why the fuck is this? Like, why is this the storyline? And then it didn't happen. And I was like,
okay, cool.
Why the fuck did we need that scene then?
It was because he put all of his weapons in there right away, but then he held the Darksaber, looked at it, and was like,
well, I think
all right, I know everything that's in there. That is what he cared about.
I think that scene was a setup, one, to show the importance, like how the Darksaber is now important to him, and also as a setup for him to just be like, nah, fuck you, I'm still a Mandalorian.
And also like a classic example of fucking Din's weird trust in people. Like the way he would just like leave Grogu with randos. Like, yeah. You know what? You're probably cool. I need you to watch me for a little bit.
You don't seem too bad. I'm trying to think. There are comparable scenes in like other movies, but where like the main guy, they're just like, "Oh, give us all your weapons," and he just you have like what should be like a 1 second scene where he's like, "All right, here's the Darksaber."
5 minutes.
Instead, it's like
everything.
5 minutes. Oh, I forgot my sock knife. Forgot my shoe missile, and it's like, like at what point do you have enough weapons, my man? You have a Darksaber. What more do you need?
And I love that, like, we've never gotten this, you know, Star Wars airports, which is just awesome. But you know this just goes to show you, even the people in Star Wars have to deal with TSA as well. Exactly. But
and they fucking hate them too.
You know, the airplane leaves and Din Djarin rests in the passenger lounge while looking out a window, and an astromech droid whistles past, and in front of him, he sees a little green Rhodian child with big black eyes in the seat in front of him and waves at him. And you know, Din's looking at him like, man, fuck, bro. I miss my little green dude.
I once had a green dude.
Yeah, but the child's mom tells him to leave the guy alone, and Din looks down at the cloth containing Grogu's shit, and it's shaped like Grogu, and it's like, you just know he was crying. Oh, Miles dipped. Oh no, Tillman dipped. Yeah, I'm sorry, that confused me. Your name in there being Tillman McClunie.
Oh yeah, it was because he changed his name to Miles Buttfuck Buttress.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed as much at some point, but
yeah.
Nevertheless,
he's coming. He's coming back.
I figured we persist. But the passenger liner lands at Mos Eisley on Tatooine, and several passengers disembark, and you know, one of the droids welcomes him to Tatooine. He gets his luggage, and all is good. And we head to Pelimoto's hangar, where we run into a BD unit, which I was like, fuck yes. And they all chase down a womp rat who's gotten a hold of the BD unit, and she starts shooting about it, and it's just real funny because she closes in on the womp rat, grabs her, drags her away. This whole scene's just funny. And Din shoots the creature dead, and Pelly's like, you know how to make an entrance, and like, that's the most true shit I've ever heard. This man's the most badass Star Wars enterer of anything. The way he can come into a scene, he just dominates the shit immediately.
Hold on, he's the second most badass.
Vader.
No. What the fuck is her name?
Oh, can't be her.
She shows up later on in this, you know.
Oh, Fennec Shand.
Yeah, Fennec Shand.
She does have some pretty awesome opening lines. I'll give her that. Like, she knows the first thing to say.
No, I'm just saying because like he had the badass scene and you know entrance scene in this episode, and then it's like, oh, you thought your entrance was badass? Wrong.
Check me out. I'm up here.
But you thought I was locked out. I'm actually inside.
Nevertheless, she asked Din if he's here to slay a dragon. And Din's like, nah, I received your message that you found a replacement for the Razor Crest. And Peli confirms that she has found a ship, stating, you know, that's what she does. And she asks if he has cash, which he's like, yep. She counts the money, tells the droids to make themselves useful. And she's like, so what about your little unlikely companion? And Din's like, I returned him to his own kind. I'm in pain. I'm suffering. I need help. And Pelly's like, man, that's a shame. You could have made a gold mine off the kid. You could have opened a petting zoo with that thing.
Little fourth wall break there.
For sure.
Little, like, we
For
know.
Sure. She created Grogu capitalism in universe. But Peli leads Din to the hangar where a starship is covered under a tarp, and she removes it to reveal a modified N1 starfighter. And I was like, oh, fuck. If Din's going to be piloting some shit I watched in The Phantom Menace and at the beginning of, like, Attack of the Clones, like, oh my God.
It's Anakin's. I'm just accepting it now.
I mean, like, headcanon can be whatever you want. This is Anakin's.
It's definitely his. It's on Tatooine. Why else? Who else is? Why not? Why make it nobody's? You might as well make it Anakin's.
I mean, I think there's a good chance. We see him fly this thing over to Luke's academy to pick up Grogu, and Luke walks up and has a little Force vision of little Anakin, or Padme. How
involved is Mark Hamill, like, in the future of
they don't seem to be shying away from the fact that Luke's, like, the fact that they sent Grogu off with Luke Skywalker at all feels like something you got to pick up on. Like, I don't see how you don't.
Maybe it's just maybe he does leave the temple, and that's how, like, Grogu wasn't there during the whole Kylo thing, so that's how it makes sense. And then, like, Ahsoka just trains him, tells, just runs him through the ropes, tells him all the essentials. We're not going to do any of this Jedi bullcrap, that I was forced to do. Like, I think Ahsoka would be a really cool trainer, like an unofficial master.
Yeah, for sure. There is cool, something interesting about the next episode.
Who else would have a Force vision with that ship, dude? Who else has a connection to that guy?
Yeah.
Oh my! Like us. Oh my God! Come on. Oh, any way they go, it's beautiful.
And I mean, like, there's someone pretty important in terms of, like, what we can kind of expect of story content rumored to be directing next week. In our man's Dave Filoni.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think you're gonna need to tell us who it is, because I don't think either of us know who it is.
But Dave Filoni often deals with Ahsoka, typically, but he probably wouldn't shy away from the opportunity to do some Jedi shit. But it's interesting because where do we pick up? Like, are we following Din, or is that going to be an off-screen thing that we don't see until season 3 of The Mandalorian, and he just goes ahead and rolls with Boba for the beginning of the next episode? The fact that this last episode ended with "I gotta go see a little friend" implies to me we're gonna see him visit the little friend.
I was gonna say,
Book of Boba?
I think we see him lead. Like, I think we see him, help Boba. I think we see that happen, and then I think we see him leave to go see Grogu.
Yeah, wait.
But I don't think we actually see him.
He says first.
Oh, he
really?
says first?
Yeah, first I need to go see a little friend. And, like, so I'm like, this grants more credence to the idea that Miles had last week for me, and that will be an off-screen thing, and then he'll swoop in at a point and fuck shit up.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was gonna say, I can't imagine, like, as much as I would love for them to show us, him going,
it'd be too much. Like, we need more Boba.
It would be too much, and it wouldn't be Boba Fett. I'm watching this, like, I love this like, probably my favorite episode, but it's not a Book of Boba Fett episode.
Yeah, it's The Mandalorian 2.5.
Yeah, it was The Mandalorian starring in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's, especially with the whole thing that you said earlier about the 7-episode thing, I feel like the 6 episodes are going to be Book of Boba Fett, whereas that one episode was like here's a recap.
And I think it's important, that, like, people kind of understand that about this. I saw someone, like, be like, why are people so mad? Like, Boba, Ahsoka, all these people came into The Mandalorian and stole an episode. And it's like, sure. The Mandalorian was in those episodes, though. Boba didn't even make an appearance here, which is just, like, that's the most mind-blowing thing, that, like, he didn't even get a flash to him or anything. Like, it's like, all right. Like, that's a little bit of a
boss, though. He's getting big.
Like, he can't just be out and about. Like, and that's important, but yeah, fuck it. I'm cool with it. I really enjoyed it. So, but Din asks, where's the fucking Razor Crest? Peli's like, I didn't say that. I said I had a replacement for it.
he is so fucking disappointed by this thing at
And
first.
Din's like, motherfucker,
what the
look
fuck
at this
kind of
thing.
trash are you trying to sell me right now?
And she's like, no, wait, this is an N1 starfighter, handmade from the Naboo Royal Guard and commissioned personally by the Queen of Naboo. And, Din's like, this is a piece of fucking shit. And Din's like, give me my fucking money back. And Billy's like, all right, no skin off my dip swap. Tells the droids to, bring Din his money. And while waiting, Pelly's like, all right, let me give you the little cell, though. She was still working on the ship when Din arrived. Didn't think you'd be here so early. She discovers a nest of scurriers along the way. She tells him, she's got all the parts. They just have to go in their place. And, it's hard building a ship from the time of the Galactic Republic, and offers to incorporate some custom modifications that'll make the ship faster. And, she tells Din that it's also made pre-Empire, so it's off the grid. And she adds that the N1 cruiser can also jump into hyperspace without a docking ring, and convinces Din to let her put the ship together before he makes a decision to cancel the purchase. And I was like, all right. And
kind of an OP ship for a bounty hunter here.
Oh, it's unfair.
We see it in ship for anyone.
Yeah, that's a fact. Din's going to be pushing P in that thing. But later on, Din works with the BD unit to restore the N1 starfighter. Thanks, little guy.
Where does this part go?
The character development from no droids to thanks, little guy. I love it. But the droid shines the light onto the undercarriage of the ship, and it keeps moving because it's a fucking BD unit and they can't sit still. But Pelly returns with a Turbonic Venturi power assimilator, which she says will make the ship the fastest in the Outer Rim territories. And Din's
the Jawas just had that?
Yeah, where the fuck did you get this? And Pelly replies, I got it from the Jawas. And Din asks, where could they get this from? And Pelly's like, well, Tatooine is a guardian of many bounties. I gave him a list. Din's like, what the fuck? They just go looking for the shit? And she's like, I have a don't ask, don't tell. In return, I let them pick through my dumpster. I'm like, is that what they're calling it now?
Oh my god, I didn't even. Oh my god.
I thought the same. Whenever she was like, "Well, I used to date a Jawa.
Oh,
they're
my
really
god.
hairy," and the fact that she kept saying over and over again, no, but they're really hairy though.
Oh my god.
No,
wow.
she said
hairy.
furry, which implies to
furry.
me the Jawas are getting dressed up as banthas and doing it.
No, but it was the fact that she continued to be like, no, but
no kink
really
shaming here, by
furry.
the way.
No,
respect
furry,
if you like to be a furry.
I'm too innocent. Picking through the dumpster, I did not even I just took it completely literal.
I think it is completely literal.
But it's literal.
It's like a kid show, where it is, but they put it in there to where
it could be one of those little innuendos.
Yeah.
Because
that's
Colton,
awesome.
I kind of was thinking the same thing after she said, but they're really furry for the fifth time, and
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, I don't know why she keeps specifying this, but maybe they're getting up to some weird stuff. Maybe she's into some freaky things.
Right. And also, interestingly enough, this piece here, the Turbonic Venturi power assimilator, did it look familiar at all?
They put way too much emphasis on this for it not to be something, and I haven't figured it out.
It was what Han was holding on to hold the garbage trash compactor apart.
Really?
Yes. So
wow,
love that little pull through.
That's awesome.
But Pelly introduces Din to her Jawa associates, and Din asks if he gets them a list of parts, will they help him? And Pelly's like, all right, let me speak Jawese to them real quick. And I love that Pelly's just a jack of all trades with the tongue, man. She knows the languages. She spoke frog in season 2. She's just really out here.
I'm so glad they brought her back.
I don't like the way that you said jack of all trades with the tongue. That just, after what we were talking about, I just didn't like the way you said that.
We don't know. It seems like it.
If she's dating a Jawa,
and clearly with how much she was talking about how furry they are, she was probably a little bit of hair stuck in some places.
You fuck with Jawas. I was like, Kyler's got to be pissed.
Kyler was fuming.
The Jawa's fucking now? Damn, Kyler is pissed. He's so pissed.
She tells Din to make a wish list, and the Jawas will see what's available. And Din replies that he's looking for mainly bolt-on aftermarket speed modifications. Since the starship is hand-built, he reasons that they'll probably need a vintage hyperware that can fit this antique ship. And Pelly's like, oh, listen to you. Nah, just give you the parts and I'll make it fucking work. And She's like, what do you think? I dated a Jawa, you know, I know what I'm doing. And she sends the Jawas to go find the parts, and Peli and Din continue to work on the ship while the pit droids help with the refurbishment. But while working on the ship, they chat a little bit, and she mentions that she's never even been off world. You know, she's a local gal. And I'm like, okay, well, next season of The Mandalorian.
Definitely getting off world.
Yep. Yeah. Next season of The Mandalorian, we're seeing Peli go somewhere else. And Din observes that their vapor manifold is missing. And she's like, don't worry, you won't need it. And,
this conversation right here, oh my God.
She's like
this next string of words.
Yeah, I fabricated the intake charger to ensure that it doubles its output coefficient. And Din replies, you know, it'll blow the shaft out of my motivator block. And Peli's like, I'm reinforcing the compression housing, which...
You ship them?
Yeah.
She shows how him how to access it by pressing that red button.
They're so cute together.
Din's going back to that one planet. He's going to get some... he's going to that one planet for that one woman.
Here's my thing. This is not a ship that you live in.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, what are you going to do with your bounty?
He doesn't have a houseboat anymore.
He doesn't have space at all. Like
that. This to me means, you know, there ain't a bounty coming in that's not cold from now on, and also him and Grogu are going to have to find a way to have like a base of operations where they can like kind of go back to. And Obara or whatever her name was back in season 1, episode 4, Sanctuary, also directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, the director of this episode. I think that's as good a place as any. That seems to be where they've been happiest and stuff. But Peli uses a power droid to help charge up the ship, and Din thanks the BD unit for his help. You know, thanks, little guy. And Peli asks if Din is interested in how she got the N1 ship, prompting him to reply that he's interested in a ship similar to the Razor Crest. And Peli's like, fucking Razor Crest. You're always talking about the fucking Razor Crest. Razor Crest. But as they work together, Din and Peli and the droids begin covering the N1's hull, and the Jawas return with a cryogenic density combustion booster. And I actually think this might be the tool that they used for the trash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, the cryogenic density combustion booster is what that was. And Din's like, where did they get this? And Peli's like, do you really want to ask? And I like the way he's like, yeah. Like, yeah, sure, why not? And the Jawas explained, you know, that they stole it from a Pike spice runner that was refueling. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm watching the Book of Boba Fett. As soon as they mentioned the Pikes, I was like, oh, that's right. And then, you know, Din thinks that this was a gutsy move given the fearsome the reputation of the Pikes. And Peli tells Din, you know, the Pikes control the spice trade and rule Tatooine through terror. Even law enforcement are afraid of them. And Din thanks the Jawas and pays them. Peli thinks Din is spoiling them before installing.
I love how, like, she just gave, like, the public opinion, you know, and, like, how everyone's going to love Boba whenever he takes over, basically.
Yeah, they rule through fear, you know, like, they're a problem. Like, especially in Mos Eisley, you know, there's a reason he's set up in Mos Espa and stuff, you know, the access to Mos Eisley is probably a little bit harder to get because of the Pike Syndicate, and once he takes them down, we'll probably see a little bit more of Mos Eisley. But, you know, we head out to the docking bay, and the N1 fighter leaves the hangar, and pit droids drive it out into the open, and Peli's impressed with their craftsmanship. And Din asks what happened to the astromech socket. And Peli replies, you know, she removes it since she's aware of his aversion for droids. And while Peli reprimands the droids for their foul language, Din inspects the N1 fighter and opines that the ship is ready. And Peli agrees and allows Din to start up the ship, and climbs up into the cockpit, attempts to fire it up, and it falters. She's like, just give it a little more juice, you know, it'll be fine. And he opens the ship, and it goes ahead and starts up. And Din takes the N1 fighter into the air, and he engages the ship's forward drives above Mos Eisley, and he's like, oh, ride's a little bumpy. And she's like, you're used to a gunship. That's a starfighter. Go ahead and fly it like one. And he's like,
open her up.
I'm opening her up. And the way he just takes off, you're like, all right, nobody fucking with this. And he flies through a bunch of rocky formations, and you're like, oh.
That noise.
I'm like, oh, is this where I think we're headed? And Din tells Peli, you know, ship is fast, and he's testing the starfighter's maneuverability. And Peli's like, you know, if you move your navigational disposition between the Twin Suns, you'll be right in Beggar's Canyon, which we see is, you know, was a part of the pod racing that Anakin took part in when he was younger, and is also somewhere that Luke learned to fly his fucking speeder.
But Anakin really should have gotten one of these ships for the
no shit
pod racing.
Hop
in one of these, he would have won easily.
Well, duh. This is a starfighter and not a pod race. Like,
I mean, close enough. Listen, just add some fake extensions onto it, make it look like a pod racer, and then just
ride it out. You got this thing, baby. But he goes in and flies this thing through Beggar's Canyon, and you're like, oh fuck yeah! He got like mirroring shots of the pod race and everything, and he's like, all right, let's see what this baby's got, and he flies it up into space, and he's like, I remember thinking, like, he gets, like, really close to, like, the Starliner, and I was like, that can't be legal. That's an airplane. Imagine if someone just kind of, like, flew up and around your fucking airplane. You'd shit your pants.
I mean, it's literally the equivalent of, like, flying a drone around an airport whenever, there are planes, like, taking off and landing, because that's like straight to jail.
Yeah. The Rhodian child sees him, outside the window, and he's like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to be just like that guy. But Din flies in circles around the thing, and then, he's quickly intercepted by a couple of New Republic starfighters and their X-Wings. And I love that the shot we get of him leveling out. I don't know if you noticed what it's like a perfect mirror of, but the first shot in Attack of the Clones, when Padme's ship is going down towards Coruscant and it's spinning like that. It's the exact same shot. But
wow.
The pilot Reed, played by the guy who was the body double for Mark Hamill in The Mandalorian, is one of these pilots here. And he asked him to run a beacon for him, and Din asks if he was doing anything wrong. And he's like, yeah, you're definitely not supposed to do what you just did.
Like, all right, fair.
I'm gonna need you to run.
Sorry, officer. Is there a problem, officer?
Oh, no, you just nearly destroyed that.
Yeah, you almost hit a giant commercial spaceship. Yeah, something's super wrong, dude.
Yeah, that's not allowed. And Din's like, I'm sorry, I'll transmit my beacon. And Reed's like, oh, the engine model doesn't match the power drive. And Din's like, well, yeah, I just built the ship. I'm taking her out for a test flight. I like that a lot of this was like real world, like problems just applied to Star Wars, like TSA, and then getting pulled over by the cops in a car that
it's like, literally everything about you, like on this registration, everything is different about this car except for, the paint.
Yeah.
Weird.
But, he says, I haven't been able to update the registration, and Reed requests that he transmit his title tabs, and Din says, his transmitter isn't working. He offers to run to Mos Eisley to fix it, and Reed's like, all right, relinquish your flight controls for remote control access. And the second New Republic pilot, Carson Teva, who we love this guy, old Appa, if you've watched Kim's Convenience, love this man, but tells Reed to cancel that order since they can let Din go with a warning this time. Din thanks Teva and says, he'll take care of the matter, and Teva notices his voice. He's like, let me ask you a question. Did you used to fly a Razor Crest? And Din's like, I think you got the wrong guy.
Oh, excuse me. What's a Razor Crest, officer?
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
And I like that he's like, well, the Razor Crest surfaced on a transponder log on Navarro in an incident involving Imperial remnants. Just trying to connect some dots. And like, I like that the implication here too is that like, he's not even mad. It's just kind of like, thanks.
This is very valuable information.
It's like, were you the dude? I'm just trying to see. And Din was like, no.
You mind answering a few questions? And he's like,
I mean, he just wanted the information for like the rebellion, like that was it. He's like, damn, you're this dude that did this for us. Like, I mean, if we could actually know what went down like during this, would be very helpful information, And like, I mean,
Din's like, nope.
You hit that button, you're gonna. What did she say? Like, if you hit this button, you'll for sure to exhaust your.
Oh yeah, you'll. He says she basically says you'll shit your pants.
Yeah.
Once you hit this button, you'll exhaust your manifold.
You'll evacuate your exhaust manifold if you know what you mean.
Yeah.
But Reed asked Teva how did Din do that without powering up his hyperdrives, and he's like, those weren't hyperdrives. Those were sublight thrusters. And you're like, oh, god damn. And he's like, we can't even detect him anymore. That man's gone. And, Teva's like, well, we should just let him go to avoid filing reports all day. Let's do it. And later on, Din returns to Pelly's hangar. And, he's like, man. Pelly's like, how'd it go? Wizard.
That was sick.
I loved it. Oh, and like the way he said it, it was like the most excited like you've heard Din like
wizard. Yeah, it was so cool. Like,
oh, she's smooth as a gonk scomp jack. You know, like this man loved it. Like this is a man who's never flown another ship. Finally got a chance to fly another ship that really gasses it up and goes, "Oh my god, I had no idea."
This is a man who's flown a minivan around space for the last 20 years of his life, and was now given a fucking a Lamborghini, and just said, "Go to town, baby."
I think if I could make a prediction, I think that she's afraid of flying. This is why she's never been off world, and that's why she likes building planes and like fixing them up and stuff. But and then I think Din's gonna be the one to like break her out of her shell and like make her fly it. Be like, this is your baby. You gotta take her up and experience this. And I don't know. I see that, or maybe not in Book of Boba, but in probably
in the Mandalorian.
In the Mandalorian.
No, I could certainly see that. I think it's only a matter of time before she leaves Tatooine at some point, just because of that line. It's like. It implies they've got some more in store for Amy Sedaris' Peli, and frankly I want it all because she's awesome. But she tells him that an old friend of his had dropped by, and she's like, "I didn't trust him. I locked her out and engaged the hangar security system." And Din's like, "What was their name?" And you hear Fennec Shand, and Peli is surprised. What the fuck? I told you to get this shit together, and Fennec is like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and climb on down from this little pedestal I had myself set up on here. And Fennec goes up to Din and is like, you looking for work? And Din's like, yeah, sure. And tosses him a bag of credits. Pay is good. And Din's like, what's the bounty? It's not a bounty. Boba Fett needs some muscle. Well, I like how she's like, we need some muscle. And Din goes, Boba Fett.
Yeah. It's like, not a bounty. It's family.
Tell him the house.
I love this because I was like, there's no way Din's charging Boba for work. He's gonna go ahead and be his boy, and he did. He agrees to the job offer, but first, I have to visit a little friend. And thus we cut to black, concluding the return of the Mandalorian. And I loved this episode. I need Bryce Dallas Howard to direct a lot more Star Wars because everything she's directed has been an absolute banger. She's directed Sanctuary in season 1 of The Mandalorian, where he is off with the woman he seemingly falls in love with, where Grogu is very happy and stuff. They protect the village. She directed The Heiress, where Bo-Katan is reintroduced in season 2 on that water planet. And she directed this episode, The Return of the Mandalorian. So she's got nothing but bangers under her belt. And, her dad having directed Solo, a Star Wars story, it's just a really cool little connection there.
Is that kind of like I never thought about this. Like, maybe they pick directors because it's like the big storyline, right? The reason they pick these directors is like the big storyline that she has is the love story of, maybe it's Din's love story, and that he will return back there to that planet, and that will be his base of operations. Like,
that'd be awesome.
And like they would make the scene of like him and her, like, do you ever remove your helmet? Like asking, and then like him coming back and probably like.
Oh, I think if he ever goes back, he walks up to her and just like takes off the helmet, and it's like, and she's gonna be like, oh,
you are sexy. You are Pedro Pascal.
I knew it. God damn, I want to fuck you. Pedro Pascal is a fine motherfucker, and that will never change, presumably. But yeah, this was a hell of a good episode. I miss my boy Boba. I really do. I'm excited for the next couple weeks because just a real shame he's not even making an appearance in this episode in any capacity. Like, and the fact that he doesn't make an appearance, first I have to go visit a little friend. Like, if we're not visiting a little friend, Fennec takes him straight to Boba's palace, and we're there.
That's so interesting that he said first. Like, that is... Because they could have easily just been like, all right, he's going to do whatever for Boba, then go see Baby Yoda, or like Grogu. But like, is there a chance we get that? Like, no way, right?
I want it, like, obviously, like, I'm like, any content I can get with Din and Grogu and Luke Skywalker, for God's sakes, I'm fucking here. But like, at least go get Boba and Fennec and bring them. Even though, like, I don't think that's going to happen. You know, Boba's got the fort to hold down, which makes me think this will be an off-screen thing that we see in season 3 of The Mandalorian, and Din returns to the fold in a Deus Ex Machina moment where he's kind of like the savior of the moment. You know, like he goes ahead and turns the tide for a second, and Boba finishes it off, sort of thing. But like, it seems that Din's going to be a part of these last 2 episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like, pretty prevalent, anyway.
Interesting. I mean, we thought that Din would be in this episode, yeah, but not the whole episode before.
No, I didn't think this was going to be an episode of Mandalorian. Who knows
where they're going? You know, like,
exactly. No, and what's hilarious to me is that this was the 3rd episode where we've been like, they're about to go to war.
All right. This episode,
maybe
the
they
war.
I'm
convinced the war is the finale. We're not we're not even gonna, like, it's not next week either.
I was gonna say maybe they like this next episode. The first half is him going to visit Grogu. We get a little bit with him and Grogu, and then he comes back, and then they build up some muscle. Or shit, maybe he gets Luke. He gets Luke and Grogu to come help out
on Tatooine.
If he gets Luke to come back to Tatooine to help.
That'd be pretty fucking sick. Oh, I doubt it happens, but what
it won't. But like the potential for a storyline there in terms of like Boba and like the fact that Din's gonna go to the Skywalker Luke, Academy. Go, all right. Sorry guys, I have to leave. Deuces, Luke. I'm gonna go help Boba Fett take over Tatooine, and Luke's gonna be like, Boba Fett?
Wait, what? Who? When? Why? Where?
We killed that guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Did you not realize? You didn't think about that, Joseph?
God. Like, no. I mean, I know all these things, but I'm not putting it together as like, this is all new. You know, it's still new that Luke is gonna
2 days ago.
Yeah, Boba Fett's alive. You know, be like, I don't know. Like, that's still a new concept, but like, damn, wow. I wonder how involved Mark Hamill is now, and like, even if he's not, because I guess this is just prime Luke. This is just young Luke. Maybe they just go with the new. This is where we get the new whoever it is. And what if it's Sebastian? What if that's like the big bam of the season? Like, Sebastian Stan, we're doing it.
We're not getting Sebastian Stan as Luke, and I don't want Sebastian Stan as Luke anymore. I'm past it.
Who was Luke in Mandalorian?
The guy who was the rebel pilot. Or not the rebel pilot.
I was
New
say,
Republic pilot.
Maybe they included him as a rebel pilot to try and throw people off the trail because like he was like in the casting. And people were, maybe it was like as like no, look, he's a rebel pilot, not coming back as Luke. And then it's going to be like, go fuck yourself. He actually is coming back as Luke.
Oh, he is Luke Skywalker from now on. Like,
well, but I'm saying for the Book of Boba Fett, maybe they use that to try and like as a red herring to be like, look, he came back as, just a rebel pilot. That's why he's in this, not because he's coming back as Luke in this season. But in reality, he is.
Arguably, like, whoever they choose for Luke right now, like, oh wait,
they've chose their guy. Like, if they're gonna choose, like, it's gonna be Max Lloyd Jones, the guy who played him in the Mandalorian's season finale. Like, I don't see them going another route now. They've got the guy who they think is young Luke Skywalker. Whether they bring him to life in any way, I couldn't tell you. I would be willing to bet that this little bit here where they included Max Lloyd Jones is just kind of something to be like, he is someone we have in the rotation. Like, he's here. You know what I'm saying?
They're priming us for him just to come back next episode as legitimately Luke Skywalker.
No, and like, I will say, like, even if he doesn't, I'm cool. Like, if we stick with Boba and we roll with this, like, that's what the show's about. That's what I want. I'm here for that. We can go do all that other shit later. But, it would be awesome if that's how we start the next episode. And frankly, that's kind of all I've got. My last thought was that the music at the beginning was kick-ass. The theme song was a mashup of the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian's whistle notes, which was really awesome. But yeah, guys, I'm going to go around in a circle, ask for last thoughts. Joe, any last thoughts on the episode? Overall thoughts?
Let's see. No really grand theories cooking up in the grand old noggin, but I just want to see. I just want to see what Mandalore's like. That's my only thing that keeps me thinking. Like, is Din really going back there? Does he really care about, getting rid of his sin and everything? And like, what does Mandalore look like right now? Is it just Empire heavy everywhere? I want to know. That's where my head's at least.
I'm with you. And Tillman McClunie, any last thoughts here on this episode of The Mandalorian?
This combination, like 5% of me was pissed because I was like, this is a Mandalorian episode. This is not a Boba Fett episode. But the 95% of me was like, this episode was entertaining. It was great. And like, I never realized how much I appreciated the Mandalorian, or I had forgotten until I get an episode and he's on the screen, and it just sends a whole bunch of excitement. And that's why, I mentioned to you guys, I was like, I watched the episode, you guys watched it, and I was like, I thought some chaos was going to ensue in this episode because you guys hyped it up so much before I even knew what was going on. So I was like, you guys kind of overhyped it. And that wasn't taking anything away from Mandalorian. I just thought some chaos ensued. But I was also excited to watch this episode. And I'm excited to see where because these Star Wars shows are good. And I'm excited to see where they go and how they tie this into Boba. And is Boba just going to have a squad of bounty hunters behind him? Like, we're going to get that action-packed scene of slow motion where there's like a explosion or the setting sun in the background. It's just a line of bounty hunters just walking towards the screen, talking towards the camera. Like, I'm excited to see where this is going.
I'm excited too. Thank you, Tillman. And any last thoughts, Miles motherfucking Buttress?
I mean, no, I kind of, echoing what Tillman said, we definitely did overhype it. But that's because I fucking loved.
Oh no,
like
yeah,
because as soon as I was thinking, maybe he'll show up in this episode. I was not expecting it just to be like, oh yeah, no, here he is. For
Din's my father,
starts,
so like
here.
That's daddy. So I'm gonna be excited anytime he's on screen.
So he popped up, and I was just like, what the fuck is he doing here? And so I just I was not ready for it at all, and then it's just. Really, I agree. It was definitely more of a Mandalorian episode than Book of Boba Fett, but I also love the fact that it's now 100% set us up for, we're pretty much guaranteed at least to have now Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, Black Chrysanthemum, and at least Din all
together
working together. I'm gonna go with my hope of hope that we get. Like Grogu, or I was thinking like Grogu and other people, like Grogu or like potentially even Luke, just being like Luke coming back to be like, I'm gonna liberate my homeworld type thing.
I mean, I would like.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Like, I would love the idea of Luke coming back and like freeing the slaves of Tatooine and stuff. But the thing for me is that like we can't have him be just like this. You know what? No matter what happens this season, Luke's got it at the end.
Yeah.
I would agree. Like, I don't want it to happen, but at the same time, I would love it.
Like, if it happens, you're not going to complain.
Yeah.
Guess what makes the watermelon at the center of the planet more viable is if Luke comes back to break that open and put water back on Tatooine. Luke, he knows the melon is there. It's oceans of not water, but milk.
With that, we will conclude the Sarlacc Soundwave.
I though very much am not like, there are a lot of Star Wars fans on Twitter that like hate the idea of like, oh, I hate that we just keep this like tight knit universe and we keep bringing back the same characters. Who gives a fuck? I want to see Luke Skywalker at every fucking opportunity.
And again,
I don't care.
We talked about this. Me and Joe talked about this briefly on the Patreon. Like the logicking your way in and out of stories, guys.
Yeah,
I'm here for world building. I'm not here for realism. Like, obviously, the realism of Din and Boba, or Din and Luke, and all these characters interacting, Din and Ahsoka, like, all these people just popping. No, the odds aren't great. It's a really big universe. But, hey, it's a fucking show and movie.
And 10 out of 10 times, I would much rather you bring in a character that I already know and love than just be like, here's Joe fucking Schmo. We're going to bring him in for 2 episodes, and he's never going to show up again.
What's wrong with Joe?
No, not you, not you, Joe. Joe Schmo, Joe.
Okay.
Joe Schmo,
like, I don't want him to create a character to show up for 2 episodes and to be like, all right, throw him in the trash can. We're never going to use him again. It's like,
we've also gotten those.
We've gotten those, and like it's fine, but at the same time, I love reoccurring characters because it deepens my connection to them.
Exactly, I'm with you, and I just think that like people tend to ignore one or the other. Like, what do you call Mayfeld, Bill Burr's character? Is that a character you knew and loved before? No. Fennec Shand. That a character you knew and loved before? No. Black Chrysanthemum. That a character you knew and loved before?
No.
Like,
Colton,
there are new characters all the time.
Terrible.
You're ignoring them.
Yeah.
With that, we'll conclude the Sarlacc Soundwave number 5. I was Colton Robertson, joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Oh, it is always a pleasure to have you. And thank you, Tillman McClunie.
Always a pleasure to be here. Highly appreciate the time. I know I was not very impactful in this conversation today, but just had a lot of thinking to do with all things you guys were saying and other.
It was a lot of stuff. It was a lot of shit in the episode.
I also accidentally stole someone's charger and had to go return it. So,
yeah, we had a couple in and outs here, and the other one was from Miles motherfucking Buttress. Thank you very much here.
Hey, always happy to be here. I'm happy to be back anytime.
Hey, would you be back next week even?
Mayhaps.
With that, we conclude the Penny Bloom podcast. If you would, head to patreon.com/CoroBloom, where you'll find well over 21 hours of exclusive content at this point, including exclusive podcast material. Oh, Tillman, what's up? we also, just before this episode, we recorded a Patreon exclusive 30-minute clip where we discussed a great many things, including Pushing P, and it's just chaos over on Patreon. That's a guarantee.
Pushing P, and they pierced? ?
They pierced, but if you would follow on Twitter @PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram @PennyBloomPodcast. If you were fucking with me and Joe, go check out our 52-year journey through film, where we've discussed a new movie every Friday of this year. This most recent Friday, just yesterday, was The Godfather Part 2, and next week's is 1975's Jaws, so very excited for you to hear that.
And if you were fucking with me and Tillman, too bad.
Yep, too bad, so sad.
Racism!
No, not quite. But, yeah, with that, remember, peace, love, and bloom.
And racism!
Wizard.